Welcome to 303 The Sit Down, where we pull back the curtains on the underground dance community that's reshaping Johannesburg's cultural landscape. I'm your host, OK Khengi, and this is the latest iteration of the 303 radio residency on Rocker Radio, where we get up close and personal with the prolific figures both in front of and behind the scenes. Our name, 303, pays homage to the Roland TB-303, a repurposed piece of music technology that Black communities transformed into the foundation of acid house and techno. Like that revolutionary instrument, we're about amplifying voices that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. For 3 years, our event series and radio show have been bridging Johannesburg and the world, creating spaces where Black, queer, and POC artists can truly be heard. Now, with the sit down, we're diving deeper into the stories, struggles, and triumphs of the people who make our underground dance community vibrate with possibility. Today's guest
Mziidaaregenator
is part of this movement, where every beat drops like an active revolution, and every story adds to our collective history. This is 303, The Sit Down, where the underground rises up.
You are tuned into the 303 show.
ready.
Okay. Yes, welcome to 303, everyone. We have a little bit of a different setting. We've got lights, cameras, and everything going on. It's looking very professional. We are at M Studios here in Newtown, which I encourage everyone to actually check out. The facilities are free. Great facilities for anyone who's looking to record podcasts. What else can you do here?
Music videos,
documentaries,
documentaries, photo shoots,
sound production,
most definitely.
everything. And welcome to the latest iteration of 303. This is season 3 here on Morocco. And I wanted to take a little bit of a pause on the mixes and on the music this season and really hone in on the people who make our community in one way or another. So we're sitting down with DJs, producers, event organizers, bouncers, whoever, because it's a community and we need all those people around us. It doesn't make sense just concentrating on, the people in the forefront, the DJs, because without the producers and the people in the background, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. So with that being said, welcome to episode 1 of what I'm dubbing 303, The Sit Down. Our first episode, we have Z in the studio with us. Z, how are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Yeah. So I think let's just dive straight into this I've got a couple of questions and we've got the next hour to get through. So can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your involvement in the music scene in South Africa, in Joburg, and how you got into it, essentially?
All right. This is Mziidaaregenator, the true self-motivated pioneer. I am an artist by heart. I am a sound engineer by profession. I am basically a problem solver within the music space. Mm-hmm. I dabble on making music from production, mix and mastering, just to be technical. I also host events and, basically an all-rounder of that, with a very pioneering way. So I started the book of Austin Kleon, Still Like an Artist.
Okay, I've never heard of that.
Where, you try to make something out of, anything.
Nothing,
yeah. So from that inspiration, mainly for me personally, I've been on a journey of primarily being a rapper. Started off just me being a rapper. And me being a rapper, I started realizing, I need to record myself, not only just record myself, I need to, mix and master my own craft. I then need to promote my stuff. So all of these logistics for me were stumbling blocks for me to actually, fully describe of what I'm trying to do. So from there, I then grew to the nature of, being in the game, being in the industry, entertainment industry. So all of that for me kind of gave me the power and the drive to actually execute it in that way. I'm not alone. I'm not saying I'm doing this entirely alone. You know, I have a team, you know. So when you go around, you know, you eventually find people that share likeness of what you're doing. So, yeah, that's in description. That's me.
Did you come? Are you from Joburg originally?
Originally, yeah, from Joburg, born, raised here, but moved into the Western Cape back in 2011 till 2014. I started, you know, residing there for some couple of years.
This is school related.
Yeah, school related and also just family related. That time my parents were divorcing. I didn't know I was young. But you know, that transition, I was like, "Aibo, when's it gonna do?" And you know, your parents are breaking up, and you need to go back. And from there, I started learning a lot based on, you know, culture, based on the coastal side of things, the central side of things of Johannesburg. So I started fusing that into, you know, what is there of me right now, you know, as an artist and as a pioneer, as a creative. Yeah.
So what differences can you speak about between the Western Cape and Jozi? Because obviously you have both of those backgrounds. And now as you're an adult, how old are you?
Do you want to know my age?
I'm assuming, okay, 20s. You're in your 20s.
Yeah,
so this is basically, in the societal terms of things, the time where you're supposed to be going out. Did you ever go out in the Western Cape during your teenage years?
Yeah, I did. Just to firstly answer your question within the differences. Cape Town, or rather Western Cape as a whole, the pace there is a bit more of a coastal chill. So the music, the culture, the feeling there, it's people are chilled. We have obviously the Gqom influence happening there. You know, it's more of, I had to kind of adapt to the nature of, like, everybody there is chilled. You know, it's wavy, but there's this motion of, like, you know, when you're having, like, when you add a groove, it's like, yo, we need to pump it up with some Gqom, you know. And Gqom to them, or to that culture, it was more of, you know, like, just to push you know, get through the day,
energy.
get to the hustle. You know, it's like a soundtrack to their actual hustle. And here in Joburg, there's a bit of everything, really. But just to differentiate, I had to kind of realize that, you know, the sentiment of just being chilled and the sentiment of having a drive, it works well. So there's time and place of everything. So I learned that within, you know, the, you know, sounds and the way that they do things. But not in comparison, but, you know, Cape Town, or rather the western side, they're a bit more chilled, more reserved. They, you know, but in Joburg, you know, everything, you know, dog eats dog. You know, I think it's common now, you know, from observation. But yeah, this is just the difference of that. But for me, in terms of groove, still young then, so I wasn't really exposed to much groove. But I give a shout out to East Plaza. You know, there's this thing twice East Plaza in the western side, where it's just like it's Xhosa rap. And infused with like like the American feel and aesthetic, but with, you know, the lingo and
like a visual aesthetic.
Visually aesthetic, and also in sound. You know, it's like the normal trap beats, the normal hip hop beats, boom bap, which is the fuse of, you know, the lingo, you know, and expressing themselves. So, you know, based on where they are, you know, so yeah, for me, groove, I wasn't really too much on it, but I can tell you that Gqom was playing all around
everywhere.
This group when
I wouldn't have thought that actually in the Western Cape. I would have thought that that's more of like an Eastern Cape type thing, like Durban or whatever, because I know that they have the taxi sort of, I call them the taxi Gqom routes and stuff like that. But yeah, tell me about how you got into production and sort of what inspired your specific sound for rap.
So again, ndikhulele kwikhaya. My mom used to listen to a whole lot of joyous celebration, gospel music. My dad also gospel infused. Then I started, you know, meeting up with friends, and the sound was different, and I was like, whoa, I'm a singer and a rapper, so I loved singing gospel. I loved rapping hip hop, you know. So I started wanting to fuse that type of thing, you know, where for me mainly it was just to to, connect different, audience into one. That's that for me. So from there, I started then obviously, depicting these different sounds, and then my love for production was then I want to learn firstly just how do you play a piano, because a piano for me is the mother of all instruments. It caters for, so learning, how to play a piano kind of, made me realize the importance of production as well, and how can you take that and infuse it. So I started dabbling from that, and my production scene was that. Also again, I've been going around meeting, different producers and studios. So I remember when I was young, I used to have my pen and pad. I'd go to, Dagci, back in the Western Cape, and I'd wait for him. I'd come through early as like 7 o'clock, and I'd be like, if you'd just wait outside. Let me, the patience there. And for me, it was like the ideas are there. I want to, execute them right there. And so not having the resources for me kind of like was like, recording, trying to, make a beat of some sort. And you do that, in a different producer. Then next week you don't find your stuff there no more, or your things put in the shelf.
Or like
So for me, that creates a sort of that rage of like, I need independence. I want to be independent in that sense. So the inspiration behind, doing production for me, it was just mainly just to be independent and actually owning my craft.
Exactly.
From the, the essence of,
that's
production.
really important. So what are some of the tracks that sort of really inspired your creative process and where you are now? So maybe take us on a musical journey of sorts about where you started and where you are musically, and give us some examples.
I firstly want to start with it was 2011. My aunt came back from Joburg. I was still in Western Cape. My aunt was doing first year, right? Then she came back and she was like, "Yo, I have a song. I have an album for you. I bought a CD. I was like, it's Drake." I'm like, "Oh, Drake, Take Care." I look at that album, and obviously that time I was not familiar with like album. I was just familiar with a hit
with
song
songs,
that you would see on
tracks,
Trace, so, And for me, I was like, whoa, okay, let me listen to this album. And the song "Over My Dead Body."
Oh my gosh, what a throwback.
That song for me was like the fuse of, the vocal, and him just rapping and giving an intro,
R&B, soul, rap,
Oh my dead.
I'm not gonna try to sing.
So for me, the again, back to production, the reverb, the echoey feel, then him. I think I killed everybody in a game last year, and I was wrong. So for me, that song was like, whoa, okay, this is Drake. Then
that was the first time you heard Drake.
No, not really heard Drake. I heard like the headlines, other song like "Best I Ever Had," but that was like from a hit type of thing, those hit singles. But from
like
a body of work and realizing, it's rap is just more than just, like for what it is. It's there's that dynamic. So for me, "Over My Dead Body" has been that song for me that just opened up the whole feel of owning your craft.
And then recently, what's a song that you've been really loving?
Right now, I don't want to say, I don't want to be like the bad apple, but like right now there's been so much mediocrity.
Real? Real. You're so real for that. Oh, girl, I don't even want to, like, this is why, like, not to make this about me, but, like, this is basically why I went into the underground. Like, I love commercial music, and I think it has a time and its place, but there's so much grit, and there's so much sort of, like, meat that's not being broadcasted, and it's such a shame, because, like, even in a South African context, there's so much talent. There's so much talent in this country, and no one's getting the opportunities. So, sorry to cut you off there,
man,
but like,
so much mediocrity. I must say, I've been falling in love with, I know it sounds generic, this response, but like, some of these piano artists, for me, their type of writing, type of texture, has been, so liberating to hear, that. But my main song that pushes me right now, if I could check it out.
Yeah,
really.
of course. Please give it a play.
Yeah.
Is this a South African track?
It's more, no, it's American.
It's American.
Yeah,
Okay. No shaving here. There's no shaving here. Not a problem.
Where's this song? Actually,
Have you heard the song Out?
Out? By?
Like when you're just outside grooving.
Yeah, I have actually. But I don't want to play it. I actually have another song that I'm really, really into. It's Over Yonke.
Over
with
Yonke.
Keywave, Blackie, and Denzel.
Okay, yeah.
Uthando Lwethu.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it.
Oh, it's so soulful. That's so sick. I love that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. So would you say that this track sort of encompasses your style of production?
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah, shout out. Shout out to Over Yonke, Keywave, Blackie, and
Period.
Denzel. For me, it's into. Over Yonke, when he embraces that a lot, then he adds the element of, the good feel, and he's just, appreciating, Thando Lwethu, and for me, it defeats any other description for me. You have already convinced me to, that's the feeling I want to do when I'm in production mode, or rather making music. I want to feel like I'm outside of, I'm tapping into into
like a metaphysical, spiritual type of dimension.
So for me, just like it makes sense, So the fusion again, the beats, the type of mellow feel, just that is seen to in it for me. It's just eccentric.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So how do you stay up to date with new music like this? Do you hear it when you go out? Do you listen online? Like, how do you find new music to listen to?
How do I find? So with me, I think to think it off my feet, I just go around social media. I think it's the greatest tool. I just go around and I research mhlambi on an artist that was featured on this song, and just travel with that algorithm type of thing. I think algorithm is also helping me with my surrounding as well. I have dope people around me. Shout outs to people that I work with here at Amped, the places that I go to. They put me on into the other alternative side of what they're doing. So for me, I just get more intel and info with what's trending, and keeping up with it from, I think, production, and also just me, as just learning nyapapa, nyapapa. So
Real.
I'm very inquisitive.
As you should.
Yeah.
As you should.
So I'm very inquisitive about like what's really happening. Like Eben Rush, if you know that, as our way, man, it's just like, oh, you get to see, but okay, Mzansi is very fond of, like izinto, so and Name, you just get the inheritance of like upapa, And for me, I that's I think my strongest point, just to be inquisitive. Like say what's really happening, but thanking the universe, like say the people that surround me as well, they put me on just naturally. I don't really chase it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So with Papa,
Yeah.
what have you found? Like, how would you sort of encapsulate your scene specifically? I'm not in your specific scene, but I think we can speak about maybe South Africa's music scene currently. So where do you find yourself in that, and what sort of critique do you have about that scene right now? It doesn't have to just be about like the quality of music. It could be about just the culture and, you know, our South African influence, and where do you see that going in the future?
I think looking at it from now, it's our time to shine as
Mzansi
Africa,
to the world,
you know,
yeah.
and Mzansi specifically. We are just, you know, the Beyonce right now. We are the moment right now for me. So anything really what we create for me goes, you know. The culture is, for me, we still need to kind of, you know, go deeper in terms of, you know, rewiring a certain, you know, I think we are more, you know, westernized. It sounds, you know, that conscious type of guy talking, but like, yeah, we need to rewire and kind of like I understand that we are them, you know, and
We're that nigga.
and it's but the culture is growing, from music, from the appeal, the sense of it. I think more for me, we need to know the business as well. We're falling short.
So
you know,
important.
we sell these things at a low price. We like Versace selling at, I don't want to, you know, call other brand, but selling at lower prices, you know. And for me, that's just those other pain points that I have. But I'm loving what's happening, you know. And us in J, like the 2Ks, we're just really out there. It's like we are the first liberated.
The born freeze.
Yeah,
The real born
for
freeze.
sure, like literally. For me, yeah, the culture has been just, I think I've been loving the culture from that type of point of view, but I think there's more for us to learn in terms of business. We need guys. We really need people that are doing the groundwork. We are so into the face value of things,
Exactly.
and for me, we just need to do the groundwork. And I'm appreciating such a platform where you actually, you know, trying to, you know, break down exactly what do you do, who are you, and you know, what are you doing within the industry. So for me, this type of platforms, not only just platforms, but people that are actually making moves. So I think we need more of that, you know. Yeah, so yeah.
Okay, how do you think South Africa compares to the global scene, and what do you think we could bring to the music table globally?
We need to be more closer to our truth.
And what is that?
It's sin to say it too. So we are a very diverse type of country. You know, Nabatswana, you know, we have Swati, Maxhosa. So we need to kind of create sort of like this Avenger looking type of, you know, it's like, yeah, it's like Kwaxhosa, this is what we represent sound wise, and you know, KwaZulu, this is what, you know, for me, we need to sell that more, you know, we need to kind of find a way to, you know, then sell the idea as well of how do we then create one harmony, you know. Like for instance, the South African flag, how does it tell a story of, you know, the different race and culture, you know. For me, we need to do that in comparison of what they're doing out there, because, you know, for instance, like a place like Dubai, man, they you know, they strict to their culture, their type of look, you know, and we need to kind of be more strict to that, you know. Isilungu or you know, Isilungu has been taken over. It's like one common language, but can we have a common, you know, South African language, you know, and that we can then kind of, you know, find strength to then, you know, be confident. So for me, yeah, those are the things that will kind of create the confidence within us to, you know, sell out there and be more, you know, effective in terms of what we present, you know. So far so good, man. Amapiano is doing crazy.
It's
and,
doing
and
amazing.
Let's put it as it is, hip hop rapper. When an alternative guy, consider that Amapiano are doing wonders because they are selling nothing but their truth.
You
know?
think?
Yeah, I mean, it could be subjective.
Yeah.
However, what I love about it is that these guys, they are out there,
Yeah.
you know, and babumbena, so they're in unity. And within that, for me, and putting it as it is, then for sure you are bound to. Then it's subjective again to the type of, you know, texture. You know, there's you know, Scott Mapuma happening. There is a Kelvin Momo. So it gets subjective to
Just
what's
individual
really,
taste and,
you know,
yeah.
what's really appealing there, you know. I mean, Rory would say sex and drugs and rock and roll are being exposed before we know ourselves. You know, so certain things, again, yeah, they are going to be picked, like, within the Amapiano scene. Like, okay, yeah, you talk about more about sex wars.
So, yeah.
Let's appeal to this culture. But if you dive deep and study the actual, you know, movement behind it, you know, you get to realize that, oh, shit, the intention was mainly about, you know, embracing the struggles from, you know, Pumekasi and Uyepana, and that type of writing, the poetic devices that I use is Sintu Sako, the lingo. Then now it's getting more diluted due to brands coming through,
And
due to, you know,
and
marketing and
sellability,
and also just pushing the agenda again. I think I believe there is an ultimate agenda that is, you know, converting the whole thing upside down.
It's capitalism.
So
Whatever
yeah,
sells.
I guess,
Yeah.
you know. So for me, yes, that's what I'm saying. So, but I love the idea, the intention behind it. It's selling your truth.
So for you, I mean, I would love to hear some of your tracks, and I would love to hear some of your triumphs and some of your struggles that you have seen for Wena specifically in the industry. So if you have a track
do I have a track?
Do you have a track?
I don't have a track.
Or maybe not your track, but a track that sort of heavily resonates with maybe the storyline of what you're doing, or some of the struggles or the triumphs, or maybe if you want to talk about an artist that that appeals to you specifically. I would love to hear
in the
that.
Mapiano scene, or just in overall?
Just in general, yeah. No, it doesn't have to be anything Amapiano related, but I just want to know more about Wena and what it is that you do and what you would like to do and see yourself in future with your music.
Well, then I'll be a hypocrite, because
no, of course. I mean, that's what it's for. Listen, life is hypocritical and it's contradictory.
I'm a big fan of Tame Impala.
Oh, period. We love Tame Impala here.
So when I you know, got introduced to Tame Impala, I was at a time where I was trying to be not trying to, but I was channeling an abstract feel. You know, there's this noun, it's called abstract noun.
Abstract noun.
And abstract noun is, you know, in relations to spirituality. So I'm a big fan of spirituality. So
I can tell.
Tame Impala created an album called Current. And
are you talking about shit?
Yeah. And there's the first song, the very first song, Let It Happen. And you know, she mind me, but like on that part where it says, all this running around trying to cover my shadows.
Oh my god.
So the poetic device there, the abstract feel, the, you know, that ambience that comes with, you know, his reverb, because you know, there's a lot of, you know, guys saying, oh, the reverb is too much, but like that's a technical.
Yeah, I was gonna say like.
Yeah, but the feel, the writing as well.
It's very fluid.
Yeah, just in synopsis, he was just saying like, let it happen, like the fate of everything. You know, you know, we go around trying to cover our shadows, trying to adjust our imperfections, and trying to validate ourselves in the most, you know, crazy way. But this song for me was just like, yeah, if you find yourself having to create such music that is not appealing to a majority of this, let it happen. That's your truth. That's how you feel. So I'm going to play it for you.
Yes, please. Oh my gosh, this is Tame Impala. Let it happen. Ugh, what a song. Get into why you love this particular song so much. I want to hear your thoughts about the production on this. Like this part where
Yeah.
it just like dips down. Oh,
Oh.
my gosh, dog. Oh my gosh.
All this running around, trying to cover my shadows, notions running inside, all the answers to shadow. All this running around, bearing down on my shoulder, I can hear him aloud. Must be morning. Hey.
Okay, before we
Yeah,
get too into this, because
sure.
I'm gonna want to listen to like this whole
album.
album, like literally. What about? I mean, you obviously
Yeah.
started speaking about production-wise. You
Yeah.
love the sort of atmospheric
Yeah.
vibe. So talk us through your production process.
All right. So, specifically this song? Should
No,
we break
your
down
like
the song?
your
Oh, my.
production
Okay.
process. Yeah.
I always look for something new. I think most guys do that right now. But like, I always look for something fresh and something that speaks to me. So I let it happen. Pun intended. But from a production, I start with the melody. I start with the melody. It's either I'm playing something or I'm just playing on an arpeggiation like a or something that will just make me pick up a melody on top of this melody, and from there I then obviously break down in terms of the type of drum that.
So what's your go-to? Is it like a 808? Is it you're a hip hop guy?
I obviously I do. I listen to the Fugees. I love that drum pattern. I love a good feel. Boom, boom, then it's either you speed up the tempo, or you just boost. You kind of like tempo it down. So I just go with it. But like my production process behind this is I'd mainly say I play along a lot with melodies. So melodies for me are just my go-to. Then the drums for me does it fit
It's a secondary
the
thing.
idea? For instance, there's a song I made.
Yes, please plug it. Plug it. We'll
There's a
put
song
it
I
in.
made by I sampled this other house song. Tell me what you're gonna do. I sampled that and
Please also reference that track. Send me all of this because I'm
Sure.
definitely gonna.
Most
All
definitely.
these songs will be in the description
Shout
below.
out. So I sampled that. I was at a time where like I was just got done with school and I only believed in what I was possessing, which was music and writing. And there was a time where my dad literally looked at me. He was like, "Efondini, awuzukwazi kaloku uhlala nje if it nazi iforms zamapolisa. Don't you want to be a policeman? My guy here is a policeman. I just can hook you up." And I remember at that time, all this process of me like kind of showing my dad, like, I'm an artist. I rap. I do this. To him was more of like, "Hey man, it's not gonna pay
It's
the bill,
not-
bro.
yeah.
It's not feasible for me to, kind of." And I had to sit down, and I was in my room that time, so I'm playing this melody, bloom, I'm playing. Then there's this part. Tell me what you're gonna do. So I'm like, oh. So and I was like, okay, let me try to play with that. I was like, if I never really win. What am I gonna do? So tell me what you gonna do.
Oh, period. And then
So
you
I
sampled
started
that track,
playing
yeah.
with that, and I was like, oh, okay, it makes sense. Why I'm.
Yeah.
And I was at a time where I was just so cornered. I didn't know if I don't win. Or if I don't make sense of what I'm doing,
What the fuck
what
am I gonna do?
So the nature of my production, it stems from that. Stems from just melody. Stems from message. I believe in message a lot. Like it's very important. That's why I'm saying the mediocrity then comes with this thing where people are just in the studio, just like anything goes, which is dope. But like, hey, you want a message, try to formulate something that impactful. You know, yeah.
I want to touch on those lyrics because that's something that's very important
Yeah.
to just even what we do with underground music,
Yeah.
just in general, is that there's such a the biggest issue, I guess,
Yeah.
is obviously the capital
Yeah.
and the capital backing. And it's not just for the youth. I mean, I know people who have been in this industry for years and years and years
Yeah.
and who haven't gotten their flowers or like the financial backing or, you know, the supports and all that stuff. So listening to what you're saying, would you say that that's a really big factor
Yeah.
in just your musical journey? Maybe
Yeah.
speak a little bit about the practical things like the funding and the music behind it, and obviously that sort of notion about essentially selling your soul to make it big. Do you think that's necessary?
Yeah. You know,
Because that's also, sorry to interject,
Yeah.
but that's also quite a very underground sort of mentality.
yeah. I think, you know, to be really frank and precise, I mean, like, ukubona xa ufunda ikasi, you know, and mhlambe ufunde phana from primary to high school, you get exposed to the means of surviving. You know, you don't get exposed to the means of living and actually following your purpose. So by surviving, you need to have a job that will, you know, fund this idea or this passion that you have. So for me, it's a big factor, man. Financially, it goes. You know, I'm just grateful that I went to, you know, a school where there was just diversity. You know, you'd find kids with a higher, you know, socio-economic living, and in contrast to, you know, not so privileged but still, you know, there. So I started seeing it for what it is. You know, mostly obviously the kids that are higher rank in terms of, you know, financial background, they tend to, you know, be more liberated into pushing there. But for the other guys, it's a sad field because you fall short just by trying to make sure that you survive and you make something out of it, and that goes to the validation to the parents and or maybe your guardian at that time. Ukuthi, okay, I'm making something, they take grocery and I'm doing this. So those things, they minimize the hustle or rather the passion behind, you know, you being practical with what you do. Because for instance, me, it was more of like, okay, I'm done with high school now. It's either obviously I apply for school and further my study, which is it's a necessity, guys. I'm trying to let's asfundeni, you know, because the more and more I get exposed to this ecosystem of the music industry and the entertainment industry, there's a level of schooling you need to have, you know, educational background that will help you to kind of comprehend certain things.
It's necessary.
You know, so that you don't sell yourself short, knowing your worth. And by knowing your worth is, you know, schooling. So artists then they are just survival driven behind their passion. So it's like, if I could just make a hit song,
then I've got the
money, then I'm able to execute. But it's just like you need to have that 5-year plan, and that 5-year plan is like 3 years of school. After 3 years, you then be practical. You know, so for me,
but it's also like when you or if you get the money, then what? Then what? Because money management is also really big topic, and we have really poor money management skills as well.
Thank you. The financial literacy is very important because I am friends with some of the other piano guys that made hit songs. We're not gonna name drop in this platform like that.
But we could. But we could.
But yeah, I've seen how, you know, again, like, you know, it's the validation. So it's a trickle effect of how we are, you know, wired in a way. Programmed. So for me, it plays a major role in terms of schooling yourself financially and just enjoy when, as you know, as an artist or whatever that you aspire to be.
So what in an ideal world and very practically, what sort of organizations or funding platforms and stuff have you maybe looked at that you know of, maybe that sort of help people to get their dreams going, basically?
Firstly, I'd I'd want to start with Amped Studios. Shouts to Amped
Shout out
Studios.
to Amped for
Shout out to
real.
John Savage and Cowboys. And so basically, these individuals, they came through and they were like, okay, cool. We are in the entertainment industry, but we fall short in terms of, you know, a lot of things are controlled systematically. At the end of the day, we dilute the whole concept of, you know, being free and doing you know. So Amp Studios has created a platform where you can come through, build your own platform for free, access the whole equipment and everything like that. Then you start building from there. Not only when you build here, you get to network. So for instance, you're shooting a podcast, you're gonna have an editor downstairs or around. Just it's like a small jersey of creating such a platform. So from there, when you create this platform, you create an audience. Then from there, when you've then fully, you know, created your own niche, the chances of you having, you know, brand deals, if you're into brands, the chances of you having the betterment of opportunities, I'd want to sit here and say I love the stance that Amped Studios is based on. So for me, I'd suggest Amped Studios.
Yeah,
it's not only just a space where you just like, I just came to do content. You can actually maximize the space by knowing people. There's this one guy, I listen to Maskandi as well. That's
Yes,
how
of course. Yes, I love, oh my gosh.
you
I
know,
love
but
Maskandi,
yeah, the famous one, it's kuya ngokuthi ngubani, uhambe izindawo ezinjani, uphila nabantu abanjani.
So that's one. Who is that? Give us the name, title, everything.
I'm gonna play that song.
Yeah, period. Just a little snippet.
Yeah, no, it's a very famous song. I think
Maskandi, like, okay, so I went to this one, like, just taking it back to electronic music. There was this one of the first DJ sets that I saw live. It was a friend of mine who was the first person who booked me, Savan. Shout out to Savan. And Likona, who is the owner of this radio station in Joburg called Lily's Radio. And they were playing at Kitchener's. And they did a footwork Maskandi set. Do you know anything about footwork music? Oh my gosh. So footwork, I actually don't really know that much about footwork, like in terms of its history, but it's really high BPM and it's like you know, it's like I would sort of like compare it to the Americanized version of Maskandi. So they like mixed it together. I was oh my gosh, it's made it blew my mind. But anyway, let's get into the Maskandi. You see what happens, guys. It's different worlds coming together. But yes, I would love to hear this Maskandi track.
It's a very famous one. Your audience probably knows.
They probably know it.
Yeah.
Maskandi is it. Maskandi is cunt, by the way, in case y'all were wondering. I love this so much.
So basically, you know, that first part, for me, again, goes to, you know, to your question, what's your like where and how. It's very important who you know, because these, you know, these platforms, man, or these organizations, the intentions are purely for us, but the money comes in, you know, the whole thing just gets diluted along the way, along the hierarchy of it. But for me, Amp Studios has created the platform of have like the independent way of networking, creating your own, then grow and be like, oh, I met this person at Amp Studios. Now that I'm hosting an event somewhere, just I met that person over there.
They
So
can just
the
pull up
staple
there.
center of such an, for me, it's a killer.
And it's everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's also like, it's in a way sort of job creation
Thank
and
you.
like job
Thank you.
security. I mean, we don't have to go and outsource. If you know a homie that's like the homie can do lights, this homie can DJ, this person can work the door, whatever. It's about supporting one another,
And
basically.
also within your growth within that, guys, please make sure that you consider the same people that you are building with, pay them.
Pay
Your graphic
pay your
designer.
people
Pay,
on time.
yeah, like on time. Like that's how you grow as well, because you're gonna be stale thinking, I got him, he got me.
Come
No.
on, no,
No,
guys.
Don't work like that. Yeah.
No, that's bro. That is so important.
Yeah.
Pay your people, respect your people,
Yeah.
because like, who else do you have at that point? You know, if
Yeah.
I mean, and it also speaks highly to your character, because if you're not a trustworthy person, then like, who's gonna want to work with you, bro?
I understand.
But anyway, with that being said, what sort of advice would you give younger you coming into the scene, or even someone who's watching this and saying that, oh, I want to get into music production, or I want to, enter into the music industry? So what type of advice would you give them on maybe a safety level, mental health level, financial level, production level? Yeah.
All right. Good question.
Thank you. I try.
Firstly, inkulu zazi. What I mean is that, know yourself.
Know
first.
yourself.
As cliche as it might sound to, some people. But like, know what you want. And by knowing what you want is then, going out there, be present. The younger me was, out there and inquisitive, but in my inquisitiveness, I started now not knowing what's important for me. So it's very important to know what's important for you first. For instance, school. Do school. Like, funda, get to understand industrial revolution from the first till the fourth. Learn, like, funda, get to know and understand that you can comprehend information that is not even based on music, just solemnly out of knowing, Then from there, start to then have values. Like, values are sort of like a navigation system to what works for you, what doesn't work for you. I value communication. That's why I'm in this platform. I value communicating with people. And by valuing that, it indicates then the type of attraction, the type of places that I am bound to be in. So if this platform doesn't allow me to have some sort of free speech, for me, then it kills the whole, thing, about what's really important for me. So values. Then from there, from the mental space of it, you need to be traumatized.
No, don't say that.
Like, look, in context, what I'm trying to say is that, you need to put yourself in uncomfortable positions. You need to, I didn't know how to produce, and for me, I was very intimidated by a software like FL Studios, the whole thing. But I had to kind of pay the cost of like, okay, let me firstly start
Take
do
the
this,
first step.
and it's a traumatic experience because it's uncomfortable. It's like, I don't like being behind, and I want to write
not
a
knowing
song.
things.
Yeah, so you need to have that, and I want you to really be in that and concentrate on the feeling you get. It's like it's like a reward.
The dopamine hit.
Yeah, concentrate on the feeling of what it does. We tend to fall short on stumbling blocks like, you're not mali, but you need to make ways to make money. And it's not nice finding ways to make money. So by the traumatic part of it, I mean it in that sense. You need to put yourself in it's traumatizing to like to lift up. It's traumatizing to the muscle.
Yeah.
So you need to find yourself in situations where it's like, concentrate on the feeling, and the feeling that comes with that would always keep you in the same momentum. So for me, the younger me needs to kind of go through like that, what can I say more? Also, just be yourself. Be yourself. There's time and place as well. There's something I learned a lot. But you need to be yourself all the time and consider other people as well. consideration
Absolutely.
creates this thing of like, okay, I can be myself, but there's time and place for everything. I can't be saying, or doing stuff that is just not, in an environment that's not like that, So you need to be kind of like, be
Read the
very,
room.
very cautious of that, That's why I say you need to school yourself, uzazi, and uzazi is being inquisitive about yourself. Have a form of like manifest, like kind of tell yourself every day, like say, this is me and this is what I'm gonna do. Sometimes, yes, it's very petty, like, you want me to wake up and write and say I'm this character, I'm this. You want me to do that? Nah, bro. Yeah, you need to do that because it's uncomfortable, but you will eventually get used to it. And you embody it in your mind, and the mind is much more powerful. So for me, those are my advice to like each and everyone that is interested into being great. In order for
Put
you
in
to
the work. Put in the work.
Yeah, that's practically and theoretically how can I like just put this thing in one. Yeah.
And just very quickly, because I think we have like about 10 minutes left, are there any sort of events that you specifically love going to that you want to, quickly speak on the ethos of, and you just really want to shout them out because you really enjoy it? Because you also spoke about you do event promotion.
Firstly, just want to give a big shout out to my event. I host a live feel event where you come through and you basically expose your obscurity within your artistry, be it painting, be it writing, be it band. You just come through. It's called Fresh Up Live. It's just basically that I have a lot of songs, a lot of ideas that I have that I tend to put them on the side, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna give you the glossy ones. That platform is polar opposite to that. I want to hear some of the other stuff, some of the unfinished stuff. I'm like, yo, this is unfinished, but hey, and it's like, oh, carry on. So for me, shout outs to Fresh Up Live. Kids love jazz,
of course. Narubai, love Narubai.
Shout outs to that as well. And so many others that I'm yet to experience this year.
303.
Yeah, shout out to 3x3.
303.
303 of
303.
303. Shout out to 303. I'm still yet to experience the whole thing. I got the glimpse of it from description. So I'm still yet to experience that. So I'll also like capture that. Just follow me, and I'll take you to the experience of my first-hand experience of that event. I've really also don't go much. I want to highlight that. I think it's very important to kind of, protect your energy. And I don't mean it in a corny way. It's like there's certain things that you need to kind of, reserve for yourself in order for you to then, when you go out there with, the well-known being of knowing who you are, time and place, all of those other stuff. Also my principle as well. I don't want to be diverging into stuff that you're not sure of. Certainty sometimes you just need it. Just like it's why yeah.
Any final words, and also just plug your socials for the people listening, and any exciting things that we can expect from you in the future?
There is a documentary I'm shooting.
Period.
There is a performance that's going to be happening in Cotton Fest.
Period. We're going to Cotton Fest, honey.
So we'll be doing a rendition for Ricky Rick.
Beautiful.
So
R.I.P. man. No, R.I.P. to the legend.
So we'll be doing some nice, good rendition with the band there. So also just manifesting that, which is in practical form of it now. So expect that. Expect more music, more me. I think I've been also finding myself in a way of closing myself, so to this time the chest is out, gorilla style. Expect more of me in different spaces and places. That's just on me on my end, but with peace and positivity, man, I send out.
Period. Love that. Thank you so much, Mzee, for sitting down with me.
Thank you for having me.
This has been 303 The Sit Down on Orocco Radio, episode 1. Do find Mzee on Instagram, Twitter.
Facebook.
Facebook.
And I'm also,
SoundCloud,
I
maybe.
also have a WhatsApp thingy page
Yeah.
where I just get to have to hear like a word for the day type of thing. But yeah, be it music, be it character, personality, be it your questions as well. So I also have that going on. So just please do be on the lookout of that.
Yeah, please, guys, hit Mzee up. I'm pretty sure that he's more than willing to answer your questions and down to have a chat. Really dope guy. And this has been 303 once again. Thank you so much to AM Studios. Thank you to Morocco. And we will see you on the next one. Have a good one.
Shout.
Yay!